Hey everybody, welcome back to Star Wars Minute. It's the daily podcast where we analyze, scrutinize, and holdos off to ride into the sunrise. No. The Star Wars movies, 1 minute at a time. I'm Pete the Retailer from PeteTheRetailer.com.
I'm Alex Robinson from AlexRobinson.fun.
I am Paul F. Tompkins from PaulFTompkins.com. Live dates coming soon.
Ooh.
Portland?
Before they are canceled. Not yet, but soon.
All right, never mind.
Now, we do have to ask for an update. I see that you are no longer in Gettysburg.
No, I'm outside of a Quiznos. Look, I don't even know what city I'm in. This has been a disaster. And, you know, they say the two best days in a boat owner's life, the day you buy it and the day you finally get away from a Quiznos. And I don't know. I don't know what's going on here, but I'm blocking the entrance. People are mad at me. Let's just do the show.
All right.
Well, yeah.
Well, you know, if we do, but we'll, you know, if we can find you, I mean, maybe we'll break for lunch afterwards, and we'll set it all up over there. I think I hear they do have.
Yeah, if you're nearby, let's get some toasted sandwiches.
Can we text your orders and you'll go order them and then that way they'll be making them?
Absolutely.
Do you not want to leave the boat unattended outside?
It's just me. Exactly. It's just me.
Well, it's not just you. In minute 110 of Star Wars Episode 8, The Force is not this movie. The Last Jedi. This starts with 110 starts with Kylo Ren telling Rey her parents are dead. And it ends with Holdo getting ready to split. She's just going to take off. She's like, oh boy, that looks like bad news. I'm going to get out of here. Mm-hmm. So that's my Laura Dern, my storied Laura Dern impersonation.
Oh, I thought you were playing the clip.
Yeah, it's, you know, I've been working on it.
I looked away for a second and I thought, oh, they're just playing the clip.
I'm a regular Adam Driver. I just studied up her mannerisms and
uncanny.
Yeah, more negging.
Yeah,
really like. Well, also, by the way, she already knew this. Do you know what I mean? She went through the Hall of Mirrors or whatever and found out that she was a nobody. She doesn't need to be reminded. Like, come on, dude.
Yeah. Well, but also, do we think that these people believe this? Obviously, Rey believes it. Now, these people here in this film, do you think that they, like, Kylo's not lying to her as far as he knows, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
He's just parroting what they both saw in a Force vision that was presumably placed there by Snoke, because he was saying he connected them. You know, he was controlling this conversation. Mm-hmm. So, do we think that he was intentionally misleading them or withholding information, essentially, to be like, yeah, they were filthy junk traders. I'm not going to tell you that they were also, you know, they were at the time they were masquerading as filthy junk traders and, you know, potentially, and they were also, you know,
from a certain point of view.
Yeah. They were essentially my cousins. Like, what's Snoke's relationship to Rey's dead parents?
Old college friends?
Yeah. Because
here's the thing. So if Snoke was intentionally misleading both of them, mm-hmm. The question I would have right away would be, why?
I don't know if anybody's ever asked that before.
Like, what would he gain from that?
Well, I'm assuming that we don't want Rey to know about her background because we don't want, much like you know, Yoda and Obi-Wan not wanting Luke to know that Vader was his father until he was ready to hear it. So maybe it's the same kind of a thing. But again, I don't think that makes very much sense either. So
no, because you would think if she's, you know, kind of part of the evil family,
right?
Why not bring her into the fold and much earlier than letting her think she was an abandoned junk trader on this sand island, on this sand planet. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it's almost as if what we know now is hard to justify with what we've been told in this movie.
That doesn't sound like Star Wars. Obviously, there's an ironclad plan for everything where all the character relationships are clearly defined from the get-go in these movies. I don't understand.
Yeah. I retract my question then.
All right. But yeah, we do really, he digs further into it and almost gets kind of meta where he says, like, you have no place in this story. Right. And it's like, well, what story? What are we talking about? And
that's why I do think he's bringing it up again. It's not for Rey's information. It's for the nerds and the audience's information. Like, trying to say, like, you don't have to be a rich blue blood you don't have to be part of the Skywalker family or whatever. But
which is kind of a fun message, especially as the way the movie ends. It's like, oh, I like that idea that it's not all destiny. It's not, like a preordained thing, which, that's a storytelling trope that I don't really enjoy that. Maybe because I grew up Catholic, like I don't enjoy that kind of thing of like, this has to be this way. There's no way around it,
Right.
And I like the idea of it being like Rey being a nobody and it being opened up to anyone, like, especially if you're talking about the idea of a resistance and a rebellion against evil forces. It's a nicer idea, I think, than these people are just like, it's all predetermined and their nature is their nature and whatever. And I don't know.
Right.
Yeah. It harkens back to the idea of the Force in the original Star Wars was a lot more like a learned skill that you could, something that you could practice and kind of develop. You could learn the ways of the Force and not just like, oh, well, yeah, we tested your blood when you're a baby. Guess what?
You're a Force.
Yeah.
You're a Force baby.
Who's a Force baby? You're a Force baby. But yeah, it is. It's something that I do, and I've said it, a handful of times. I do really enjoy the Rise of Skywalker on a different level than this entirely. I like both of these movies a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff in Rise of Skywalker for sure.
But
although I will say, I know this is off topic. I know it's a different movie. I've said this before and I'll say it again. You're not going to out cute BB-8 just by being smaller. There's no way. He's the cutest.
In terms of robots?
Yes, in terms of robots. You just can't make a smaller robot than BB-8 and be like, no, he's real cute. No, BB-8 is the cutest. End of story.
There's like a chart where you could say if it gets smaller, it gets cuter, but then there's a certain point where that doesn't pay off anymore.
Exactly.
Because like BB-8 is a smaller, cuter R2, and that's like the limit.
What I would say to the little rolling air horn, I would be like, you're not a part of this story.
Oh
yeah,
wow. Nothing.
You're gatekeeping.
You're nothing. You're literal junk.
I'm going to trade you to Fred Sanford for a hyperdrive.
Do you think BB-8 is cuter than Baby Yoda?
Oh.
Damn.
Or does organic? That's a tough one.
Yeah, you're busting out the hard questions.
I got to put him.
If you limit it to robots.
I think maybe Baby Yoda is in terms of the whole cuteness bracket.
Sure.
I think Baby Yoda pulls ahead because he does have eyeballs and can have facial expressions. And he walks in a very cute way. Now this is, but I'm going to say it's a photo finish between Baby Yoda and BB-8.
We'll say Baby Yoda in 7. It's not a. Yeah. Plus, he eats, and then sometimes he spits up, like some little cute things like that.
Yeah, exactly.
He has those human appetites that make him be like, oh. Whereas BB-8's just like this cold, emotionless robot.
Right.
He gives a thumbs up with his crack lighter.
You think you're going team theme thumbs up? There's some people who assume he's giving the finger in that scene.
No, R2-D2, sure. BB-8, no. BB-8 doesn't give the finger. R2-D2, absolutely.
Yeah, that tracks.
I like to believe now that R2D2 has a little mechanical middle finger that's just inside him all the time, pointing out. We don't see it. It's inside in his inner workings. There's just a finger that's always pointing out at the world.
If they revealed that in Rise of Skywalker, it would be worse than the rockets, because you'd be like, why didn't he use the middle finger when he was facing off with Yoda about the trying to steal the light switch?
He was saving it for when he really needed it.
Yeah, it's extreme. Do C-3PO know curse words? Is he like the dictionary where part of his job is he has to know curse words, even though even though it's like gutter language, you know?
Like the dictionary. He is, yeah. I mean, his whole thing is languages, right?
Yeah.
He's a protocol guy. He's got to know all the languages. From his reactions, I mean, but that is a good point, because from his reactions, maybe R2D2 is not necessarily cursing. He could just be being direct. And that's enough to fluster C-3PO. Yeah. But I do like to think that R2D2, for some reason, has been programmed with filth.
Or he's just seen a lot of crazy stuff in his lifetime. So he's just he's like the veteran of every war. So, you know.
And every heroic thing R2D2 wants to do, C-3PO doesn't want to do. So it could be that R2D2 is saying like, come on, you piece of we got to do this.
Yeah.
C-3PO. So how
rude.
How rude to be so direct and
such language.
It does. I would assume that he does know all of them, and we couldn't. I would love to see the scenario where it's like, in order to translate something, C-3PO has to swear up a storm. Like if it's some kind of
that Rise of Skywalker, he literally was not allowed to read Sith spells or whatever. So maybe it's like profanity.
Full of curse words.
He would just put in like,
right.
It says here, I'm to get the fudge out. Like a Good Place kind of safety
or it's like
filter.
It's kind of like I can't picture specific outside of one instance where there was a health class where we were doing like sex ed or something like that, and they made they'd separated the boys and the girls, and we were having our own classes where we talk about stuff, and they were talking about start talking about sex, and they were like, what are some of the ways that people have you've heard people talk about sex, and they're like, we basically had to like all shout out euphemisms. And we were all being very like, we're still in school, so nobody's being like, too graphic. Nobody's going hardcore until basically like the teacher basically walked us into a corner, and one kid essentially drew the shortest straw and had to say the F word to our teacher, and we were all just like, oh man, am I glad I'm not Billy right now. Wow. So I'm picturing C-3PO being like that, whereas like when you have to relay a curse to the teacher, that like when he does have to translate the swear words, he's very like
Let me ask though, were there any repercussions for Billy? Was it a trap, or was it
no.
The teacher was just like, get it out there?
Exactly.
Right.
It was.
What was the point of that? Like the teacher knew what the word was. The kid, it's like, why did they have to? What was the point of forcing this kid to go into a corner and say a swear word?
Well, not a literal corner, but it was. I think it was partially just kind of loosen up the crowd a little bit, so we all know. Hey, we're all we're talking about things.
How old were you at the time? How old was the class?
I want to say maybe 8th grade, 9th grade. So
I mean, if I were a teacher, it would be fun. It would be funny to me to make a bunch of kids say curse words.
Oh, sure.
Under the guise of teaching.
That was the entirety of the class too. He's just like, what are some words?
Let's make some up now.
Yeah. Let's workshop some new ones.
This is going to be on the test.
Don't tell your parents, guys. Come on. Let's this is for us.
Paul, did we ask you what droid you would have in your own life already? Like if you were to have your own droid in your home, your day-to-day life, what kind of droid you going for?
I mean, I don't want a humanoid one because that's a little creepy to me. You know what I mean? Like in real life, like watching it in a movie, fine. But if there was like a real life C-3PO in your home, I think that would be very unnerving. I wouldn't enjoy it. I mean, BB-8 is my favorite. I would have something like that. But what is his function exactly? Like, is he just sort of an all-purpose dude?
I guess technically he's designed to fix spaceships that are flying through the air, like R2. You know, he's designed to.
Right.
So that's really what he's kind of.
I don't have a ton of use for that, and then I would feel bad. It's like clipping a bird's wings. Like, is this cruel to him because he's just trapped in a house and there's not much he can do? He can't.
Think of it more as like think of it as more like having a sheepdog. Like, this is a dog designed for something. It doesn't have to do it. I'm sure BB-8 would be fine just sitting around in front of the fireplace watching TV and stuff.
Then BB-8 it is. I mean, I can't argue with that analogy. Yeah, I would love to have that guy in my house.
So you'd be freaked out. So even though because it's a humanoid robot, that is what would be creepy, as opposed to like entity-wise, it's the same thing. It's a robot
but
in your house.
feels more like a pet. Yeah, but feels more like a pet because of the size and the way it interacts and everything. Yeah. It feels more like an animal as opposed to C-3PO, which is like.
Do you feel like you'd always have to like be on, and like you'd always have to be like, you couldn't just relax and sit home by yourself because there's a person there you'd have to talk to? And
like, what is he? Exactly. Do I have to keep conversation going with him? Does he talk all the time? Like, is he always trying to start up a chat with me and I have to like literally shut him down? Like, I don't want to talk to you right now. Go to sleep.
Yeah. It's probably something in the settings. It's probably something where you can say like adjust.
Do not disturb mode.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Did I tell you that was our idea for Lyft or Uber? Do they have that do not disturb mode, which is basically, I don't want the driver to talk to me?
Yeah, but you can't. I could never bring myself to do that. Yeah. I just want to be on my phone, right? Yeah. I don't want to. Yeah. Because it's occasionally you will get a driver who is so much fun and like has stories to tell or whatever. You can have an interesting conversation with them. That's few and far between. And also most drivers that I've had don't want to talk either. You know what I mean? Right. It's just like, we're both on the same page here. You want to go to a place, I want to make money. But you can't, the only time I've ever considered doing it is early in the morning. Like if I have to go to the airport or something, where it's like, man, I don't want to talk about where I'm going or what I'm doing there. I don't have to explain why you don't know who I am if I'm in show business, which is usually what it comes down to.
Oh,
and then it always ends with, when I get out of the car, hey, good luck.
I'm assuming they mean on the flight. Like, you know, planes are iffy. So.
I hope you make it to where you're going.
Yeah.
You couldn't pay me to get on one of those things. Anyway, good luck.
I'm going to stick to the ground where I'm safe.
I'm a ground guy.
I got in a Lyft one time and the driver took umbrage with the fact that I wanted to sit in the back seat.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because I was never, I just assumed it was a backseat situation when it started because it's like, it's their car. And it never occurred to me that they would want me up there with them. Yeah. And then I have friends that I've seen get in like we would be, you know, calling two different Lyfts or whatever. And my friend got in the front seat and I was like, is that a thing? I didn't realize that was a thing.
No, this driver he was like, you can sit in the front seat if you want. And I was like, I'm okay. Like, cause I hate having to make small talk, awkward small talk.
It's rough sometimes.
So,
yeah.
But apparently when Lyft first started, that was one of their gimmicks, like to set themselves apart from Uber. It was like, hey man, we're a more personal, friendly experience. Like, and so I think people just started using it like Uber, where you got in the back seat, like it's a taxi.
Yeah.
So anyway,
I guess that's why that was the equivalent to me, that it was taxi-like, and like, it never occurred to me. Now, there's so many landmines out there, guys. You can't do anything anymore.
Yeah, hopefully C-3PO comes with settings where you can say only, you know, like the paper clip on the word thing.
Yeah, right. I would definitely teach him how to drive and make him my chauffeur.
You would trust him to drive? Huh.
Oh, good question. Because he's very nervous.
Well, plus he's a robot, so it's like, you know.
Luke let him drive the land speeder like day one of owning it. Remember,
they were in the middle of a desert. There was nothing to smash into.
Yeah. There's no lanes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to get. I've got two things. One is another kind of tangent, but before we, I don't want to get out of this without also bringing up the It seems like I'm just constantly praising the performance of Adam Driver, but I do love the way he desperately says please. Like, he seems so confident in this. Like, you're nothing. There's, you have no place in this story. You're nothing but not to me. Come join me. And then he's like, there's a moment, and he's like, please, like in a way that's not pathetic enough, but does definitely offer a hint of at least lack of confidence, and that this is a little bit of bluster here.
Yeah. It is like a guy who is masterful at saying the wrong thing, but being able to turn it around very quickly. Right. You're nothing. But not to me.
Right.
Please.
I wonder if that was the director's choice or an actor's choice, because him saying please you could really do it in totally different ways.
Yeah.
Like, please.
I hope there's like 8 different takes. Just give me 8 pleases right in a row.
Yeah.
And we'll see which one fits best.
Please. Like a long
please.
whine. Yes.
Maybe there's a Roger Rabbit take, hopefully.
One can only hope.
But I wanted to check in with the rest of the saga, if you guys will follow me on this one. That this is minute 110 of the movie, and this is the longest Star Wars, and
halfway there.
Usually on in other movies we're kind of closer to wrapping things up. So I wanted to check in across the board and see where the other movies were. We're not going to go forward into ones that we haven't talked about yet, but there's some important stuff happening in a lot of these, like in the original cut of Star Wars. It's almost there, where Red Leader's failed attack on the trench. So we're
like an hour to go in this movie.
I know,
that's crazy.
And in Empire Strikes Back, minute 110, Luke loses his hand. When they're out on the gantry doing their duel there. Return of the Jedi 110 is when they're again lightsaber duel, like and Vader throws his saber to knock down the little catwalk that Luke is doing his little turn on.
Shakes his little tush on the catwalk.
Exactly, yeah.
Right.
And then again, one of the more some of the more famous scenes in cinema history. Phantom Menace minute 110 contains the famous line, "Ouch time."
Yeah.
And Force Awakens minute 110, we see Chewbacca's weird thumb for the first time. So
that's a low light.
Yeah. So it's an interesting. The things are definitely wrapping up in other movies, and we still have we have the whole crate sequence yet to go, and the duel with Luke and all this stuff. So
that's wild.
Interesting to see where we're at in other films.
Now I'm thinking about Chewbacca's hands. Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah.
It's fun to think about. Before we wrap, I want to say that one of the few in this minute, one of the few things that bothered me about the movie was Laura Dern's costume, and I didn't understand why she wouldn't be in a uniform if she's an admiral. I didn't get the aesthetic choice to just have her in like a gown.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like it's a little detail, but it bothered me,
I like that you're bringing this to our attention in a very nautical, like you look more like an admiral than Laura Dern does.
I didn't want to say.
Well,
I think it's part of the intentional misdirect that Rian Johnson is doing, because he kind of wants you to be on Poe's side of like, who is this lady coming in here?
Right.
Like, if she was in a uniform, it would be more like, okay, well, I have to be respectful.
Right.
Like, the fact that if it was a man in a uniform, he would be more, but if it's a woman in a ball gown, like,
because it's also like, even if it's not a strict uniform, just something that seems more practical to what they're doing. Like, it just seemed it seemed like an odd choice to me. I think that's as good an explanation as any, Alex. Like that, I'd buy that. You know what I mean? That it's helping to sell it to the viewer. But then wouldn't it also have been interesting to see, to not know like who is right here? Who has the right approach here between these two people? Because you can understand both of them, you know, and that might have been just as compelling for the viewer as just, you know, knee jerk being on the hero's side, this guy that we've already seen in one movie so far, and you know, the top brass, you know, not wanting him to do his cool thing.
Yeah,
I don't know, but I don't know. It still to me is an odd choice of wardrobe.
Yeah,
you
see it in this minute. She kind of struggles with it when she gets into the chair, into like there's like a moment where she has to kind of adjust the way her legs and the dress work.
And look, maybe I don't know. Maybe she was coming from an event.
There you go.
She was getting ready for the award ceremony on the planet when suddenly they got attacked, and
she was nominated for Best Vice Admiral. So
everything else was dirty. This is the only clean thing she had when her ship got blown up. So now she has to go
I packed like an idiot. I don't know. I do this every time I wait till the last minute, then I just throw a bunch of in my suitcase.
Yeah, it was either this or a bathing suit, and I don't think this was.
I knew I wasn't going to be swimming.
Paul, you're known for your sense of style. Which Disney which are there any Disney costumes or anything that stand out to you as like that's a good look or a bad look? Your cheers and jeers of
Peter Pan, I think, great look. Do you know what I mean? It's like he can move. It's memorable. Like he really stands out.
I meant Star Wars specific, but
I'm sorry. Star Wars specific. I really like Rey's look. I think it has echoes of Luke Skywalker, but without it being like I think that's fun the way they did that.
Yeah.
Remake. You know, the Han Solo look, iconic. I like my takeaway from Star Wars was that guy's the coolest guy. My first Halloween costume after seeing Star Wars was Han Solo. I remember an elderly lady asking me who I was. I said Han Solo. She said, "Well, where's Gretel?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And she said, "Well, you're Hansel." And I'm like, "Lady, I cannot explain this to you. You clearly don't get it."
You're like, his name is Greedo.
Although now I'm picturing you wear more like a lederhosen type Han Solo costume. It doesn't look as cool with you.
Oh, and Leia in the Endor costume and in the new trilogy, the latest trilogy, very like I love her cool like military look. I think it's really neat to see that character. She's had I think like a lot of good looks. Luke in the black Return of the Jedi outfit. A lot of good looks.
All right.
And getting back to other Disney, Beast from Beauty and the Beast. What are you doing wearing so many clothes? You're a beast. You must be sweltering.
Yeah, you got fur with like a top coat, and it's not.
Yes, he's wearing like 3 layers over.
Well, don't they live in like Russia or something? It looks cold in Beauty.
He's inside. Come on.
Those castles can get very drafty.
It's true. Well, that's why you have fur.
Yeah, it's true.
You don't see the Irish wolfhound walking around with a collar and tie.
Although
all his servants are like
it.
Yeah. Candlesticks.
Candlesticks.
All right. Well, now that we're talking about candlesticks, I guess it's time to wrap up this week of Last Jedi.
Candlesticks, good stopping point.
Exactly. I had it as one of my potential outs there. Oh, good. Candlesticks. We got there.
Game of Clue.
Like a safe word.
Paul, thanks for joining us all week. Hopefully you can find your way home. We'll keep tabs on you.
Thank you. I'll probably just put the boat on a truck bed and drive back. You know what I mean? I give up at this point. I'm not good.
We encourage everyone to drive to their local Quiznos. Maybe that's the one Paul's at.
Please come say hi and tell me where I am.
Was that the Romancing the Stone? Which movie ends with them getting on a boat on the street?
Romancing the Stone.
Romancing the Stone. Okay.
Yeah.
It's a regular Romancing the Stone here. But hey, listeners, viewers, what have you? If you've got a fine sense of style, like Mr. Paul F. Tompkins here, why not go to StarWarsMinute.com/merch and add to your collection with some of our fine T-shirts and hoodies. You can get a tapestry and wear it as a scarf or something
Any
like that.
cravats yet?
Not that we've been asking. That's the two things that keep coming up
right.
are like,
Keep
pint
me
glasses and
posted.
cravats. So, but I think the tapestry is the smallest size of tapestry could be converted to a cravat. I think. I don't know. We'll have to do we'll workshop it a little bit.
Okay. All right.
When a cravat is unfolded, is it just like a square, like a handkerchief type thing, or is it its own shape? Or
Alex,
what's the
would you
story?
like to see?
Oh boy.
Oh, this will be a good thing to get our YouTube numbers up if you were to review.
It's like
Whoa.
forbidden knowledge.
And it's. Oh, I accidentally tied it tighter.
Paul's choking himself with his cravat.
Oh no! Outside of a Quiznos.
There we go.
That would be
This
one of
is
those
what it looks
ironic
like.
deaths. Paul choking to death on a cravat.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Also,
It
it's like a
looks like
long
this, yeah.
scarf type.
Yes,
of,
exactly. It's wider
right.
on the ends,
Okay.
as you see, and then when you put it on, you just fold it once. It's the simplest thing in the world.
Oh.
Then you get that nice.
How do
drape.
rich people convinced us that this is a thing only rich people should do? So it must be hard.
It's the greatest trick they ever played on us.
Oh.
Yeah. It's like baccarat.
This is what Bernie was all about, and we could have had it so good.
So those 1%ers and their cravats. Well, thanks again. I don't think we have cravats, but go to StarWarsMinute.com/merch and we'll find. We'll see. I bet we could probably cut something into it. I'm gonna work on it. I'm gonna workshop
I'll set
it
up
with
a Google alert.
All right. Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, we will be back on Monday with a brand new episode of Star Wars
Minute.
Star Wars Minute.
We got it.
We got it.